Okay, so there's something that's very important with lifting really heavy weight. Or let's say you're at a heavy double. It's very challenging for you that maybe you might miss the second one. What comes into play on those kind of reps is your mindset, your emotion state, and your technique, right? So these three things, they merge together to help you to get the reps up. Now, what ends up happening a lot of the time is people have an imbalance, too much emotion, too much thinking, or none of them, or too much just going there without any brain and trying to yank weights up, things like that, right? You don't want that, right? So it's normal for people to get a little bit nervous or a little bit scared or over aggressive, things like this, which you have to be when you're lifting, let's say 1 rep max, or a very, very heavy double, heavy triple like that, because otherwise you won't get the weight up if your heart and mind are not on, right? But what I'm trying to say is that for that big lift to happen, the heavy double, heavy triple, heavy single, max lift, is a sequence, a whole bunch of things prior to that heavy lift. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about how you set yourself up. Now, you can't overthink anything when it's a big lift. A lot of it has to be this instinct and basic, simple things, right? Very few people can really, really think about what they're doing at this point. Most people, you have to just lift the weight. But the thinking part, and the emotions part, and the physical part can all be practiced in the warm-up, leading to, right? So let's say you're lifting 400 pounds, let's say a heavy double at 485, right? You have your whole warm-up sets before that. And before that, even the stretching sequence and the cardio, if you do it, or whatever it is for 5 minutes, all that can be used to start switching your mind on, right? What do I mean by switching your mind on? It's like going to higher and higher and higher and higher levels. And same thing with your heart. Desire gets more and more and more and more, right? As you approach the lift, right? To the point where you become almost like, ready to explode in the heavy set. So when you're practicing your technique, you can't practice your technique at 1 rep max. It's impossible. You can't practice your technique at 95% rep max. It's impossible. Your technique has to be practiced from the lighter weights and the medium heavy weights. You see? So many people don't understand this, that your focus, you start zoning in. So when you start the day, when you're on the bar, you have this many thoughts, like this, right? As you start going towards the heavy set, your thoughts start removing. They start eviscerating, to use a big word. They start getting vacuumed out, right? And you start narrowing your focus to one thing, to getting that heavy double, heavy single, whatever it is, heavy triple. You see? So your mind, you can't have all this scattered thinking all over the place. You can't be looking at what so-and-so is doing and what, that's out, right? So you start narrowing that from the warm-up, from the bar, the 45, you start practicing. Same thing with the physical. You want to get the physical warmed up. Maybe your hamstrings, you want to tighten them a little bit. You start doing some stiff legs. You go slow, you do slow reps. You see, with the 45 and 245s, and like this. Then you add some speed to it, right? Maybe you have a little bit of a back problem. You want to activate your glutes more. Maybe you do some hip thrust before, right? And then you start feeling your glutes more throughout the lift. So these are the things that you practice with that 45, 245s, 345s. So by the time you get to the heavy set, as you combine all three, the physical, the mental, and the heart, the emotions, right? Then it starts to all blend together to form that big lift, that ability to lift big, right? And then what you have to do is, many times I see people go up to the bar and they get like over emotional, right? Or they be under emotional, right? And they just go and the weight doesn't even come off the ground. Over emotional, he just yanks the weight and all of a sudden, he lost too much of the technique, right? Or he started pulling the weight when his hips were too high. Or started pulling the weight when the hip is too low. Because he wanted to hurry to get the weight up, right? So what I have to tell you guys is that many times you have to, especially if you're new at lifting weights and things like that, you have to listen to cues. So if you're wearing headphones, take one of them off so that you can hear what your friends are saying, what people are telling you. Because they're going to cue you, hard grip, big breath. You need to hear these things because otherwise you don't know many times what you're doing. You're just lifting the weight. And next thing you know is you pulled your hips way up here and you did a stiff leg deadlift. You see? Some people, you have to drive your hips low to this position and pull from here, right? Before when they go down, they drive, they come up and then they pull. See? So instead of pulling from here, they went down, up, and then pull. See? Hips too high. This all happens when there's too much going on, right? So you need help, right? Don't be a hero, you need help. We're here to help you and give you all the help that you need, good advices. We won't give you the wrong advices. So remember, when you're getting to that big lift, look to your team. There's the guys around there. They're going to cue you, hey, hard grip, big breath. You know, glutes, glutes, glutes. Drive the heels in the ground. You're going to hear all these things. It's going to help you, right? So don't get too rattled up when you're lifting weights, and don't forget your technique completely. It's okay if you forget it a little, maybe your hips a little bit high, you still make the lift, okay? So remember those things. You want to get your mind right, you want to get your emotions right, you want to get your physical technique right? That all starts with the light weights, and then as you start coming up more and more to the heavy weights, it becomes automatic, it becomes instinct, right? And then all you need is basic cues. Big chest, drive your heels in the ground, pull with the lats, all these kind of cues, all right? Let's do that.